So this is Dr. Laurie Appel, everybody. And if you've missed the other episodes, what are you waiting for? Sharing good information just for you, for moms.
It's great to be back with you.
Yeah, it's great. All right. So Laurie, I'm going to get to the introduction. We're going to get right into it.
Okay, you go. Go for it.
All right. They're going back during COVID. Now what? It was hard enough sending our kids off to college on a regular day, let alone sending them back during a pandemic. So when COVID hit in March and the school year came to abrupt halt, internships were canceled, jobs were canceled and furloughed. Many of our young adults that were ready to launch were forced to move home, quickly filling the nest that had long been empty. And most of us had gotten finally over the hump of that empty space in the house. But what happened next surprised many of us. Families were able to bond again, spending time together they never expected to have because their kids were launching. There were family dinners, family walks, family Netflix binging. Just when mom was loving everyone being together again, they announced colleges and universities are reopening. This time, saying goodbye is going to be different. It's not just about the emptiness that's left behind. It's the new set of worries and fear around the health and wellness of our kids being away from home during this pandemic. So I ask you, what's a mom to do? How do we handle the stress and worry? It's the now what question, back again. But to help us answer these questions, our favorite psychologist, Dr. Laurie Appel, is back in the nest. Laurie is also the host of a very popular podcast called You Think You've Got Issues? And I'm Jodi Silverman, certified life coach for the Empty Nest Mom and founder of the Moms Who Dare community and host of In the Nest with Jodi. And we're just going to get right into it. So Laurie, welcome back.
Thank you.
It's always good to have you. We've had so many really important and great conversations for moms. You know, we talked about how to let go and the importance of letting go, the do's and don'ts of letting go. We've talked about helping our kids become financially independent. And then when I started reading and hearing on the news about all the different universities that were going to start to reopen, and I have friends getting ready to send their kids back to college. I mean, I'm not going to be hit with this issue. I quickly reached out to you because, you know, it's a whole new set of worries. We're sending our kids back to dorms, to apartments with other children, their peers, and into classrooms, hoping for the best. So it's a whole new set of worries. And, you know, I just wanted to, you know, if you want to say hi to everybody, share anything that's new going on with you, or we could just get into, you know, what are some ways that we can help manage our stress and worry, because we have to let them go. We can't keep them home forever.
Exactly. And listen, I speak from personal experience because my son is going back to college in the fall.
Oh, his is starting.
Yeah, he'll be a junior. So he'll be living in off-campus housing with other kids. So it is absolutely, first of all, I just want to say it's absolutely normal to be worried. I mean, there's good reason to be worried. I mean, those kids are in the population often that kind of, they think they're invincible. So they're least likely to abide by some of the guidelines and rules, you know? So I think that there is natural reasons to be worried. On the other hand, they're probably the population that is going to be, you know, least affected by COVID should they get it. But I think that, you know, it is absolutely normal to feel stressed, to feel overwhelmed, to feel even frustrated and angry, because I find that a lot of the universities and colleges, things keep changing. So it's like, okay, you think you know what you're doing, and then next week it's something new. A lot of places and a lot of people don't even know yet whether is it going to be online, is it going to be hybrid, is it going to be some combination of that? What are they going to do about the dorm rooms? Are they doing doubles? Are they still doing triples? What is going to be the cost now? Are the costs going to change? So there's so much still unknown, and we're really about a month away from kids starting to go back.
Yeah, so it's very fluid. It's very fluid.
And it has to be. This is unprecedented.
Oh, absolutely.
How are we supposed to know what to do? You know, we're just kind of like flying by the seat of our pants on some level. And every college is different, and every college has a different policy depending on how large they are, how small they are, what region they're in, how many foreign students they have, you know, how large their faculty membership is. So there's not one size fits all. And so we can't, and I find that what a lot of people are doing is they're comparing, well, what is your school doing? Or what is your school? We can't do that because every circumstance is different. There is not one size fits all. So it's normal to feel stressed. It's normal to feel overwhelmed. It's normal to feel even frustrated and sometimes angry. But if you are constantly feeling that way and you're unable to calm down, that's where it's kind of reached a level where you should probably reach out and get some help. But it is, other than that, it's pretty normal to feel that way.
So, but so I mean, I know what I would do. I mean, I would have a conversation, obviously, with my child. We're all going to have conversations with our children, and we're going to be begging them, please wear the mask and please listen to the rules and please be smart because it can happen to anybody.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you right there. So here's what I would say to you, because and we've had this discussion before.
Yes, I want to hear.
Rather than saying, do this, do this, do this, okay, which just gets their back up, because then what they're feeling is like, you don't think I'm stupid, like I know what I'm supposed to do, is what I suggest instead. And we had this conversation, is ask them what their thoughts are. Say like, so where are you at about this? Like, how are you feeling? Like, do you know what your school is doing about this? How are you guys going to manage like being social, which is, I know, necessary when you're in school? How are you going to balance that? So that way, when you hear them say things like, well, we're going to get together outside. Okay, great. Well, you know what? I think that's a really good idea. That sounds really smart. Or when they say, well, my school is testing us regularly, which by the way, most schools are doing. Yeah. Say, oh, okay, well, that's really good. Like, are you required to do that? Which again, most schools are requiring. But I think the important thing is that don't treat them like they're little kids. Don't forget to wear your shoes. Don't forget to button your jacket. Because that makes them just kind of, push back against you, is that what you need to do is ask them, what are your thoughts? What do you think you want to do? And also, really importantly, remind them that it's not, if they say, well, I'll be fine, I'm healthy, I'm, blah, 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 if they don't have any, underlying health conditions or whatever, say, well, I understand that. And don't dispute things. Say, I understand that, and you're probably correct. But just remember that you are going to be interacting with other people in the community, whether it's faculty members or, the Target checkout person, or when you come home, me or your grandmom or whomever, and you may not be as vulnerable, but you are going to be interacting with the vulnerable population. So just be alert to the fact that, as a community, again, don't make it personal, don't direct it personally to them, but as a community, we kind of have a responsibility to take care of one another. And that means protecting ourselves, because protecting ourselves protects the rest of the community.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I purposely said what I said because I know that's a fear-based coming out of a mom. Right. That would be, listen, and that's my panic, that's my worry, versus finding out what they know, what they're aware of, and what their plan is and where their mindset is. I love that. That's why.
And the other thing is that you don't have to pretend like you're not worried with them. I just think that you have to own the worry rather than putting it on them in a way that is so infantilizing to them. So I will absolutely say, like, even if my son is driving somewhere that's 2 hours away, I'm really, look, I know you're a driver, blah, blah, blah. Anything can happen anytime. You're probably a better driver than me. You're more alert. You've got quicker reflexes. I've got a lot more experience, but, I'll give him that. But, I worry. So just do me a favor, just shoot me a text when you get there. But I own my worry. So I think it's perfectly legitimate to say to your kids and to have that conversation and to say, I'm really going to be worried. So, I am probably going to be texting you more. I'm probably going to be, asking, are you okay? Are you okay? Did you get your test this week? I'm probably going to be doing those things. And it comes from a place of my worry and my love. And I'm just asking you to just be tolerant of me, because it's going to be rough for me, and I'd like to ask you to be tolerant of me.
I love that, owning your worry and giving them a heads up that it's not about, I don't trust you. This is all about me, my worry. Right, exactly. And how can they fight with you when you're telling them up front, I know this is all about me. I know it's my worry.
My issue. Yeah.
No, I love that. It's fun. It's interesting you said that about the traveling, because we do have an agreement with our kids that whenever they travel, like via plane, which isn't happening, just like taking off, landed, and that's it. Just taking off and landed.
Right.
And it's funny because my daughter said, and I've said this too to my family. There was a plane crash you'd hear about on the news. I'm like,
well,
yeah.
that's what I say to my mother. My mother's like, call me when you land. I'm like, Mom, if something went wrong,
you would hear
about it. But I get it, that it's but there is a difference between saying, well, just call me when you land, and saying, look, you know that this is the way I am. So just do me a favor and, just coddle me and shoot me a text.
It's oh my God, it's always like an aha moment with you, because I think it's we could resent, and I know as a teenager I used to resent, like, why is my mom doing this to me, like, why do I, but it's not. And if we can just tell them, and you just tell them honestly, it's vulnerability also. It's you telling your kids and showing them another lesson that, you know what, I'm 54, I'm a mom, and yeah, I'm a little bit worried and scared, and that's okay, but just humor me. And it kind of makes it less of an obligation for them, and more like, well, my mom's worried, I'll just let her know I'm okay.
And it changes those roles. You're not trying to be a parent to a child. You're being a vulnerable adult to a young adult. And you're asking them to actually raise up from being a child to being in a reciprocal relationship with you, where they can also take care of you a little bit.
Love it. I love it. So the tips are, have a conversation with your children by asking them, how are you feeling about going back? What are your plans? And sharing with them that you're going to be a little bit more worried than normal, and that you hope they understand, and just ask for what you need, and ask them to be a little understanding of it.
Yes. And I think the other thing is that we also,
I like the community part too. I like sharing with them about if that should come up.
Right.
To broaden.
I think the community takes it out of, well, you have to worry about me, or you have to worry. It's like, we as a community need to take care of one another, and taking care of, in this specific instance, taking care of ourselves is taking care of other people.
No, I love it.
So, and even ask them, I mean, it's interesting, ask them, say, like, what do you think about that whole contingent of people who are like anti-mask wearers? Like, what are your thoughts about that? Like get them to kind of solidify where they're at with it, So I think that helps to kind of like, just kind of like pull out what their thoughts are, because then you have something to discuss. You're not just pushing your view on them. You're asking them what their view is about things. The other thing I think that we have to do is, I feel like a lot of us around this time are, what I love this expression, I heard it on NPR the other day, is doom scrolling. And I call it, I just wrote an article about this. I called it kind of like figuring out where the diminishing returns are. So I feel like worry is helpful in some ways, because it helps us to manage risk, right? Because we're worried, we wear a mask, we social distance, we wash our hands, we do the things that we're supposed to do. So a little bit of worry is good, okay? It keeps us alert and active. But at some point, it kind of tapers off, and then it hits diminishing returns, where we can't get past the anxiety. And then it's no longer helpful, and it's no longer about risk management. It's just really about driving, we're just driving ourselves crazy. And one of the ways that we do that is by what NPR refers to as doom scrolling, where we start to look up something about, like, what are the rates of infection among, 20-year-olds? How many 20-year-olds have died of this? And then we keep digging deeper and deeper in that rabbit hole and working ourselves up. So 2 things: stop doom scrolling, like take a step back, and when you start to feel like, okay, I'm getting more anxious, this is just really making me more and more, aggravated and anxious and worried and overwhelmed, step back from it, take a break from it. It's diminishing returns at this point. It's not informative anymore.
No.
Because we do need to be informed, but it reaches the point where it's no longer informative, and now it's just anxiety provoking.
Yes.
The other thing that I say is stop going on the basis of conjecture. So I have a lot of parents that I see who are part of Facebook groups for their college, and a lot of people are doing that. Well, I heard that, and I heard that. Stop. It's all conjecture. Go to your colleges or your universities. I typed in where my son goes to college. I just typed in what is, Cornell's policy regarding COVID for students. It took me right to the page where they outline it step by step. And I'm like, this is so much more informative than my going on a Facebook page where everybody's just like, well, I heard. So go to your university site, wherever they go. A lot of them are doing like forums, like live forums where they're talking about the things that they're doing. Do that. Don't go on the basis of conjecture.
That's the best advice right there. Such good advice. So thank you, Laurie. I really appreciate you jumping on here and being part of In the Nest and the Moms Who Dare group and sharing with these moms, because it's going to be difficult, and the better we can manage our own worries and the better we can extract valuable information from our children and communicate with them without them feeling like they're 5 years old again, the better everybody will be. And it's been such an amazing, beautiful time. I know when I opened this episode, so many of my friends, because all of our kids are in their 20s, we didn't think we'd have family dinners again. And as sitting with your 23-year-old, your 22-year-old, and watching movies and having conversations so different than when they were teenage. I mean, you didn't even sit with them when they were teenagers. So I would say to you, moms out there, all this advice on managing your worry and all the tips that Laurie has given you is great. And then I'm going to take it a step further. It's going to be an adjustment again to have your nest empty, and you're going to fill it with the Moms Who Dare community. That's what this community is here for you. That's what I'm here for you. I'm here to help you move through that empty nest, that loss and that sadness again. We got the worry covered, and we're gonna embark on the connection, the learning, growing, and the adventure that Moms Who Dare brings for you, and get you back to that, because we've taken a few steps backwards as it relates to ourselves and focusing on ourselves during this time. So Laurie, thank you for coming. And again, everybody, I will post a link to Laurie's website, a link to her podcast, You Think You've Got Issues. There's some really good episodes there. And I will post everything when we're finished here. And, just if you want to connect with me, that's what I want to say. If you wanted to connect with me, as you see, we're now recording In the Nest episodes via Zoom. So the geographic boundary of coming and sitting in my actual nest is over. So if you have a topic you want to be heard discussed on the show, or you want to sit with me like Laurie is on a Zoom and be part of the conversation in the nest, go to jodisilverman.com, reach out to me there. Everything you need to know about Moms Who Dare and In the Nest is there. And as I always say, everybody, just keep daring on. Dare on.